Good morning, listeners and viewers. Hey, Jalf.
Good morning, Ammar. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Gosh, what's happening? What's going down?
Just getting into the groove, Ammar. 2023 is here before us, and so we just got to plan and attack it, and see where we are with it.
Good. So turn your phone on its side. You're looking
Right,
very
yeah.
well. You look very young and fresh, and gosh, you're looking hip and happening. You look like a movie star. Anyway, let's start the way we mean to go on, and which is let's kick off the show and show business. So, good morning, listeners. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf.
live on our radio show right here on Spice FM.
Each week we bring some news, views, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
We were talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops. So if they're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
Can help. We do help. Gosh, 2023, Jalf. Crazy.
It's incredible, isn't it? How quickly the years move.
Well, I mean, key events from 2022. Obviously, Ukraine war, Jalf. That seems to be getting or going worse. Do you think, or?
Yeah, I think the biggest event of 2022 was the death of Her Majesty the Queen. I think that was obviously that was a poignant moment for the not just the UK but the rest of the world. I think that's probably one of the biggest thing that's happened in 2022. The war started, I think, it was about February, March in 2022. So it's been going on for the whole year. I don't think it's gonna end anytime soon. Along with the Ukrainian war, which gets a lot of coverage, there are other wars, Ammar, that are ongoing. There's constant issues and battles in Syria. They're getting bombed. Damascus gets bombed on a regular basis. There's an ongoing war in Yemen. There's an big issue in Peru at the moment, where the elected president has been taken out and imprisoned. So unfortunately, there is kind of political instability. It's always been there, I think. A matter of what we get to see and what affects us a lot. And I think the Ukrainian war is affecting us in many, many ways, because it is in Europe. It's quite close to us, and with obviously NATO being involved in it, that means the UK is involved in it. So there is it's probably big news for those reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and you're absolutely right. There are a number of other controversies going on, and sort of challenges affecting people. Anyway, Jack, what are these headphones? You need to get yourself a pair.
What are they?
So these are the Apple AirPod Max.
Okay.
And there's two things. So I highlight two purchases of 2022 for me, which are mega highlights, right? So the first, which is the acquisition of a Henry cordless Hoover. It was incredible. It was one of those purchases that I was incredibly happy about.
Yeah.
And given the cost of it compared to the cordless other vacuums on the market and the fact that it's a Henry and it's, you know, all of that. Anyway, it was incredible. And it's a delight, you know, clean the car, clean the house, you know, do a lot of cleaning, and I've got OCD. So Henry Hoover was one of them. Second one was and is these headphones. So
Right.
they haven't been out that long, I don't think. Maybe November, December. And I purchased them, and the kind lady in the Apple shop gave me a discount, and I brought them, and I thought, was it one of these impulse type buys, or was it a fad? And I've put them on, and when you put them on, I mean, the technology is incredible, like the convenience of them, but the sound quality is out of this world, and the functionality of them. So they're currently connected to my phone as well as the laptop. I can pass through. So we flew out, fortunately. The wife had treated me and the kids to an adventure, and I flew out on the plane. And as soon as you put them on, so before you put them on, you use the Apple app, and it measures your ears. So it finds the So you literally do this around your ears. So it measures all your ears. It's got individual processing chips within each headphone. So the same chip that's in your Apple phone is in each of one of these headphones. So it processes the sound. The quality is just astounding. So, you know, having had Boses and various different, you know, sort of headsets, the fact that it's over the head, you know, is I think that rather than in ear type of fiddly headphones, but it's the sort of noise cancellation on it is just, I've never experienced anything like it.
Wow. They're expensive, Ammar. Can people like us afford them or not?
Well, I imagine you'll buy 2 sets because you'll buy different colours to go with the outfits. Is what you'll do. But no, they're not cheap. But given how much time I spend online, and given how much time, you know, the Bluetooth, the NFC, they'll connect whatever it is. But it was honestly on the plane. There was the button that you press that you can either turn off or on and get pass-through noise. So you can continue to listen to what's happening, or you can turn it off. And as soon as you turn off the noise around you, it's deadly silence. People are talking and you can't hear them. I mean, that's how good and effective they are. So it doesn't matter, you know, on a plane, you've got so much ambient noise, you know, people chatting there, announcements, this person, kids, and all of that. I just put this on, I watched a movie, and it was just like, I could have been in a cinema. You know, that's how good it was and is. And then the microphone on them, because that's the other thing with a lot of microphone incorporated headsets. The microphone isn't as clear as you'd hope it would be. But obviously, I don't know what it sounds like. But what does it sound like at your end?
It sounds perfect. So there's a microphone in the speaker as well?
In the headset, yeah.
Really? It's
an Apple, so it actually picks up the voice and processes it like the phone.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Isn't it? Anyway, as I say, it was so that was a highlight for me. We're coming back to 2022. The Oscars slap. Jeff, can you remember our friend?
Oh, yeah, good old Will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think, was that actually real, or was it just a bit of a showmanship? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, probably a combination.
Because would you really go and do that, Ammar? Come on, it's surely, if someone's doing that, you know what? He's a stand-up comedian. Yeah. I mean, my understanding of stand-up comedians is that they are there to take the pee out of everyone, you and the audience. So that's kind of historically what they've done. And Will Smith himself was probably done some stand-up comedy himself. So I don't know. I mean, it was a big news at the time, and I was very surprised at it. And Chris Rock dealt with it very, very well. I mean, what would you have done? What would you have done? Punched him back or something? I mean, that would have been the kind of right thing to do, right?
Yeah, so who took the higher ground? Or maybe it was just like, anyway, it was, regardless of was it real or not, it wasn't right. And it's, that level of red mist is really interesting coming from someone as significant as Will Smith. Because he's a brilliant actor, he's an all-round sort of great guy, and it's just a shame, in that sort of moment of anger, how it can affect you, and you do something silly, but it equally demonstrates the humanity of us all, right? As in, there's limits and there's buttons and there's things that you could or shouldn't push. Doesn't mean to say that you should resort to violence. But I mean, gosh, on a grand scale, look at what's happening in the wars. An eye for an eye just makes people blind, doesn't it? It's ridiculous. Anyway, so Oscar slap, Pakistan floods, worst ever.
That was horrible.
Thousands of people. I mean, obviously, you get this in Bangladesh quite a bit. But I mean, nothing had ever been experienced like that in Pakistan. It was incredible.
And Ammar, where did it come from? Because obviously in Bangladesh, it's a very, very flat country. It's very low ground. You've got the mountains of India, and you're surrounded by that. And apparently, the Bangladeshis always keep on saying that, well, it comes from the overflow from the dams of India and A, B, C, and D. But I mean, the rain's not from the overflow from the dam. So obviously, there's surely something can be done in order to be able to ensure something like this doesn't happen again. In terms of the flow of water, I don't know what can be done to it.
I mean, quite simply, it's a case of when you have this term used regularly, but there is an element of unprecedented. What they're suggesting was it was a combination of a number of things. One, heavier than usual monsoon rains. So the amount of rainfall. Now you've seen, I mean, gosh, in our lifetime, would you have ever expected floods in Newcastle? But I mean, we were together, weren't we? As in,
that day, oh my goodness, that was crazy that day.
No, but I said that, and that's crazy, right?
We were at that hotel, weren't we, Ammar? That was the launch of the hotel, Crown Plaza, right?
Yeah, but wherever it was, I just like as in, and then the quayside was flooded, and things like that. Now imagine that, but like 10x that or 100x that.
Yeah,
and it's how do you deal with that? And what could you do? We haven't done anything else to try and resolve that because that's sort of one-off events, as in there's what can you do? But there was apparently also a severe heat wave which melted glaciers. So there was even more water flowing through the rivers and things like that. So that combination created this sort of the deadliest flood. The flooding was the world's deadliest flood.
Say that again, Ammar, there.
The flooding in Pakistan
was
the world's deadliest flood.
Really?
Yeah.
And is that in terms of the number of lives it took? Yeah. And the damage, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Crazy. And then thinking about that weather side of things, the summer heat wave here, they're saying
I don't know.
I don't think it was.
There was no.
But obviously, there
was no heat wave in the summer. I think this is part of, unfortunately, what was the heat wave in summer? I was in London that day.
Yeah,
and I walked.
I can't remember it.
It was just the look. It's a scam. I'm sorry, it's a scam.
It's a scam.
I'm not buying. I'm not buying it, because if you have a look at in the summer, for sure there's an agenda, right? Because when you have a look at the weather after the news, when you have a look at the map of Britain, they deliberately have made that map of Britain, instead of it being green as it always used to be, right? Someone showed me a comparison of a map of Britain from 20 years ago and a map of Britain today, and the temperatures were very similar. The only difference was the map of Britain today was orange, and the map of Britain from 20 years ago was green. So basically, all they're trying to do is trying to show, oh my God, Britain's turned into like this orange kind of nation because it's so hot, it's going to melt the country. You go to London, all the journey on the train, be careful, there's a heat wave, and they're hammering that down, because it's been what's been told by the weather people to tell the public. And you get out of London and there's no one there, and you think, okay, hold on, hey, I'm enjoying this sun. It's 30 degrees or 32 degrees, whatever it may be. This is nice, and they've scared everybody off. Outside of King's Cross, there was hardly anybody there. And I just thought to myself, that's just absolutely ridiculous. That is part of this net zero narrative, which is on its way. And using that, there's going to be so many new laws and restrictions that are going to come in, starting off, right, by a money-making scheme. Getting into the city centre is going to be absolutely awful, because they've already said, oh, well, the congestion that lots of those cars create getting into the city centre, we have to have a zero emission zone. But there's very little emissions coming out of the cars because of the catalytic converters and all of those things that they invest billions of pounds in over the years. Have you ever seen any fumes coming out of exhausts recently? Remember back in the day, Ammar, 20 years ago, when the exhaust, you can see the fumes coming out of exhausts, literally. Have you ever seen that recently? Of course not. So then, at the moment, they've said it's Newcastle City Centre, to get into it from the 30th of January. It's a low emission zone. Any commercial vehicle coming in, you have to pay bloody, like, how much is it? 10 quid a day or something.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. So they've only started it off, because they can't start it off with everybody, because everyone's going to go mad. So they're going to slowly introduce it. They're going to change it. I can guarantee you by the end of the year, they're going to do it to cars, they're going to do it to so many other things, and they're going to keep on bringing it up and making life so difficult for people to get into the city centre. They're going to affect and kill our businesses, and they don't even care about it, because they think that they're saving the environment when they're not.
Well, it's not just that, though, is it, Jalf? It's also the fact that parking and car parks, and these are revenue generation type of schemes. So
scams or schemes. I think it's generating scams. I think.
It's crazy. It's crazy how much money.
I mean, I'm not. That's why I'm not buying it. It's just not. If you wanna really tackle the environment, if you think about it sensibly, if you want to really tackle the environment, Greta Thunberg, you need to go and speak to. You need to go to America. You need to go and meet Joe Biden. You need to go and get Putin round the table, and then they need to stop all of these nuclear weapons that they have, one of which will destroy the environment. So how on earth, if you care so much about the environment, how on earth are these weapons of mass destruction ever invented? Because that can finish off your environment that you supposedly love with one bomb. So they should never have been invented. They should never have been allowed. And now we're fighting for the scraps. Whilst that is their environment is never safe. When there's war, the environment is never safe. One bomb, how much destruction and damage does that cause to the environment? And they're talking about us driving a car into the city centre is going to damage the environment, and we're supposed to buy it. I'm not buying it for sure.
It's crazy. Anyway, there were summer heat waves, and there is a lot of money spent on climate and change and things like that. England's women team with the Euros, Jalf, that was good, wasn't it?
Fantastic. They did brilliant.
Yeah.
that was a good victory. It's a shame that the boys couldn't do it, but that was great
Yeah, it was
for the
good,
nation.
great that the women won it. I mean, the women's team, I mean, Newcastle United women's team, fantastic. I'm hoping that we win the cup and the league and everything else. Cost of living crisis, Jeff. That's continuing to spiral, isn't it? As in people sort of finding it harder and harder. I must admit, and jesting and whatever aside, but there is far more consciousness and thoughtfulness in spending, full stop, and rightly so. But I'm just saying, as in the cost of your shopping. I mean, gosh, it's gone up so much. We used to spend like £30 a week, and now we spend 35, and and it's really hard.
I don't think £30 a week is going to get your shop, Ammar.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it's
I know where you go and shop, and everything's organic. But I think the cost of living crisis is a very, very big concern. I think along with all of that, Ammar, other concerns is just the general well-being of the nation in terms of, you've got the cost of living crisis, everything has gone up. Compound that with trying to make a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment, a physio's appointment via the NHS. Unfortunately, that's on its knees. And that's very, very concerning, because that was the bedrock of our society. And it's what made this country so special and unique. The fact that
social care system,
the social care is
was the best,
and it should always be. But unfortunately, they're not concerned about it. I think they want it to be in this condition, and that's why they're letting it to be in this condition, because maybe they've got ambitions of privatizing it and giving it to the bloody Americans so that they can make lots of more money from us. So so I would incorporate, when we talk about the cost of living crisis, I think we have to bring the NHS and our the social care and our well-being into that as well, because I think that's connected.
No, without a doubt. But it's I mean, money leads directly and influences mental and general well-being, and there's no doubt about that. And in fact, I've been arguing for years now that what we need to do is better equip future generations with the ability to manage and make money. And that should be the single one priority, because if you do that, it gives families that are less well off opportunities, and then they can concentrate on the broader, wider things. But anyway, it's crazy. We had 3 prime ministers, Jav. You mentioned the Queen's death. It was so sad. But what a joyous occasion within the same year of that anniversary. As in, at the beginning of the year, we're celebrating, the Jubilee.
Yeah.
Right? Street parties, all of this incredible stuff going on, huge celebration. And I thought that was beautiful and wonderful that we've done so. And then sadly, her passing. And then all of a sudden, there's this sort of, Pandora's box of stuff that's going on between Harry and Meghan and the royals and all of that. And actually, it's just pure drama. And for me, it's not about taking sides, right or wrong. For me, our royal family have always been private. They've always maintained a particular standard and approach. And it's a shame that that is being broken, and all of this is spilling out in the way that it is. It's sad.
I was just thinking, Ammar, if Her Majesty the Queen was alive, I don't think this would have happened. Do you think?
No, I don't. However, having said that, some of this was already in play prior to Her Majesty, but I imagine there would have been some olive branch type. She was just an amazing woman, an incredible leader.
I don't see the need for Prince Harry to come out and say the things that he's saying.
I don't.
Like William punched me. Yeah, and that's your brother. You've done it in private. If your brother comes, if you have a ruckus with your brother, I'm sure we've all had ruckuses with our brothers.
Well,
it's just family. It's a family matter. I don't think that's that abnormal. I don't think that's that abnormal.
Well, it's probably more so in my case. I think it was, but anyway, that's slightly different. If it was just a punch in the face, you'd go fair enough. But anyway, it is what it is. So the top and bottom of it is, I think it's wrong, and it is such a shame. Argentina win the World Cup, deservedly so.
Yeah, absolutely deservedly so. The best team won. There was no fluke. There was no opportunity. They won because genuinely they deserved to win. Messi deserved it. If you remember our predictions for the World Cup, if you go back right at the start, I said that if the footballing gods have their say, then either something is going to happen with Messi or Ronaldo. That was my words. And because it's written in the stars, because you cannot deny greatness, and greatness has to come to be. Every player wants to win the World Cup. It's the greatest trophy that's ever existed, that will ever exist. And for Messi, who's done so much, he absolutely deserved it. I just felt sorry for Ronaldo because it was quite opposite for him. But at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, that does not take any glow away from Ronaldo. It just gives a little bit of shine to Messi. So people like to keep on comparing Ronaldo and Messi. Why do you need to compare them? They're two great, amazing players, and they are probably their equals. And because they were their equals, we saw the best of them. They pushed each other, and we, the public, benefited from their rivalry. So I don't think you need to compare and say one's better than the other. They're just two great historical players, and that we've had the pleasure to see them play at their peak for the last 15 years. So yes, that was brilliant. Great tournament, Ammar. It was an absolutely fantastic tournament. The best World Cup ever in history.
Oh, without a doubt. And it was sad to see all of the nonsense associated with it because of where it was and such like.
Unfortunately,
distracted lots of the football side of things. I'm not suggesting that people have causes and might have just causes, but it was sad to see how that played out and was propagated in the media and such ways and such things. You're a football pundit. If you're on a show, then please stick to the football side of things.
Stick to the football.
It's sad. Anyway,
stick to the football.
I don't know.
It's not question time. So stick to the football. Yeah. And
because that's what people are tuning in to watch. If you have a view and you want to raise that view, then you're right. Go on to question time or but don't use that airspace to influence negatively when you do not know for a matter of fact, and you do not know the facts. It was crazy. Anyway, it is what it is. We're on to useful toolkits. So we've got a script every week now, Jalf, just so you know, we're following that. So the useful toolkit this week, useful toolkit is Moscow. Moscow prioritization, also known as the Moscow method. Have you heard of this?
Moscow, no, because the words, anything to do with Russia is banned from society, isn't it? I don't know where you took that.
So I don't know how I'm doing this. So anyway, I'll start again because I'll read this out and we'll do it again. So from the top, Moscow prioritization, also known as the Moscow method or Moscow analysis, is a popular prioritization technique for managing requirements. It can be used to manage the scope of a project, prioritize a team workload, or to organize your personal to-do list. The acronym MOSCOW represents 4 categories of initiatives: must do, should do, could do, and won't do, or will not have right now. So must do or must have column should be populated with non-negotiables for whatever you're doing. So everything that you must do today, must do this month, must do this year, whatever your goals, thinking about 2023, you put all of the must do stuff here. Second one is should do or should have, and contains important but not essential tasks for what you do. For example, in software development, it is important to fix small bugs, but not doing so wouldn't completely prevent the app going live. The third column is could do or could have, and includes nice to have tasks. These are tasks that do not significantly affect what you're doing and can and should be put aside in favor of must do or should do. The won't do or have column is useful to manage expectations and list unnecessary tasks. So the benefit of this, Jaff, is it's a methodology that's been around for quite some time, right? So how often do we wake up in the morning and we know we've got all of these things to do, but then we'll start concentrating on the could do or the won't do. So the could do, I could look at my Facebook and my LinkedIn and the news and whatever else, whereas what I must do is actually go and do a shop, or go and order things, or I need to pay some bills, or I must talk to the bank, or I must talk to whatever it is. And you keep putting stuff off, right? So for example, let's just say goals-wise, people have, it's that time of year. And it's that time of year when everybody goes, everyone's getting fit, everyone's back at the gym, everyone's doing a diet, everyone's doing all of these things, right? That help them, because they want to become fitter, healthier, happier is what they want to do. So day one, right? I'm gonna get out of the bed, right? I'm gonna get out of the bed. Got my gym kit. I'm going to the gym, and I do day one. Day two, I sort of I know that I must get out of bed, but I don't. I turn over. Type of thing, and progressively it goes down and down and down. You end up not doing the must do to realize your goal of getting a six pack. As in, all right, I want a six pack, but actually, I'm just going to go to the off license and buy a 4-pack. Is what I'm going to do, and I'll do with a 4-pack rather than a 6-pack. Anyway, the point is, people struggle with prioritizing things. And we all end up doing things that are in the could do or should do, and not necessarily concentrating on the must do. And the idea being that once you've got things in your must do, that's what you do first, right? So you start with the must do things first, and only once you've cleared the must do you move into the should do and then the could do. So because unless you've done it in this way, you'll end up sort of not realizing your goals. So that's the Moscow method, and it stands for like must, as in the MOSCOW is what it is.
Very interesting, Ammar. And I think if we were all able to follow the Moscow methods, I'm sure our year would be far better than what we planned to do so.
Well, it's a small step. It's a great tool, and it's something that we could and should be using now. So, everybody's got goals. Everybody's got like New Year's resolutions. Everybody's got transformative and transformative changes that they want to make. So they have a plan, so you've got a desire. I've got a desire to get fit, right? You've got direction. So you've got a plan, you've signed up to the gym, or you've signed up to one of these programs, and you're going to get the biggest challenge from having desire, direction, so wanting to do something, having a plan, is the discipline. That's the one thing that constantly and consistently lets us down, is the discipline. And this priority toolkit allows us to take a bite-sized chunk every single day, what must I do to get fit? Right? And that's what I'm going to do first, because that's a big deal. What must I do to make money? Right? Well, here's the things that I need to do, rather than sort of, oh, well, I'll go and do a bit of tweeting, and I'll do a bit of this, and I'll go and meet that person for a cup of coffee and whatever it is, as opposed to concentrating on developing your product and selling your product or whatever it is. You know, people get distracted all of the time. Hence, discipline is the key core sort of activity attributes that you need to follow to realize that having little toolkits like this really help. So using the Moscow model and the methodology, I think, is really, really helpful. Upcoming events, Jalf. So we've got the Curry Club. It's starting on the 19th of January, where it's being hosted here at the SME Centre of Excellence. So, you know, looking forward to you coming along to that, alongside the various others, enjoying some curry, getting out and about, meeting people, you know, sort of rekindling relationships, because it's really important. It's the one thing that we sort of neglect quite a bit, is how easy it's to say, I'm not going to go and meet that person, I'm not going to go to that event, and then subsequently, before you know it, you're lying on your deathbed thinking, I wish I'd had another curry at the Curry Club, and I wish I'd met some people there.
Well, of course, Ammar, we're all social beings, and being around, surrounded by good people, the right people, the people that are going to inspire us and, you know, add to our know-how, knowledge, intelligence. And that's the kind of environments that you should cherish and surround yourself and get yourself into, because it's gonna make you feel positive and make your lives better. So I think it's very, very important that you socialize in the right circles with the right people.
So everyone needs to come along to the Curry Club. And then I'm doing an online innovation ignition. So one of those toolkits that I shared with you, Moscow, is part of my innovation ignition. How do you fulfill the dreams, the goals that you have as an individual in an organization? And on the 18th of January, I'm hosting an online Zoom session where I'm going to share some more tools and tips and, you know, help you realize your ambition and raise your aspiration. It's a lunchtime session. It's 40 minutes. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be fun, but you're going to get so much from it. That's on the 18th of January. And then on the 31st of January, we're launching a new program in Tees Valley. It's called Adventure Builder. It's an internationalization program where we'll be taking businesses to places like Saudi and various Turkey and various other opportunity areas through our networks, and providing them with all of the support they need to grow internationally. Really exciting. And that's Adventure Builder, breakfast launch at Teesside Airport on the 31st of January.
Amazing.
Yeah, so there's lots of great stuff. Next week, some other events that I'm aware of. So our good friend, can you remember David Falconer, Jalf?
Yes, of course.
The leader, ex-leader of the council. And he's hosting a presentation next Wednesday online. And it's called 3 American Visitors to Newcastle, and he's going to be talking about them, sharing some footage and things like that. And one of them I'm particularly interested in. In fact, all of them I'm interested in, but there's one particular standout person for me. But the visits of Martin Luther King. He came to Newcastle in 1967. Imagine that, yeah.
Just unbelievable.
Luther King came to Newcastle in 1967.
You got a degree in this.
An honorary degree. Newcastle spoke out at that time, the university, and give him an honorary degree. How magical is that?
Unbelievable.
Crazy. And
That's
then
great.
Jimmy Carter came in 1977 and 1987. So president, actually came explicitly for Tynecastle, and then Muhammad Ali in 1977.
The great Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, Tynecastle, how they came. So he's going to be talking about how they came about with images from the visits and how they have been remembered and celebrated in the years since. And interesting facts that you might not know is and that's going to be David David Falconer, and he's going to also talk about he's had a little personal involvement on the legacy front, but as a young councillor met Muhammad Ali on the visit. And interestingly, my late father was the general secretary of the mosque in Elzik and helped coordinate and celebrate and be involved in that Muhammad Ali visit. Whilst I was significantly young, I do feel as if I can vaguely remember, although may not be as accurate as I imagine. But anyway, regardless of that, really interesting. That's on Zoom, and you can check that out on ABC's website and online, and that'll be David Falconer sharing some of that. Okay, so Jalf, we're going to now, going forward, we're going to have a guest on every single week for the last sort of 10 minutes of the show, and next week, coincidentally, we have David Falconer coming on the show.
Oh, amazing!
So it'll be lovely to catch up with him. But I thought we'd try it out with you. So then we're going to have a bit of an in conversation with, and the in conversation with is with you, Jalf. So, so welcome, Jalf. Thanks for joining us here on Spice FM. Who are you?
I'm Jalf Ali, a Newcastle born and bred individual. I'm involved in the family businesses which were started in the city since 1969, just taking that on.
And what is the family business?
Family business are restaurants. We have restaurants in the city, Dabawal and Kai Kai. We have a presence in Phoenix. We have a container by the river. And we do events, and we've got a few other little things in the pipeline for this year also.
Amazing, exciting, and that's quite a long time, isn't it? 1969.
Yeah, I think we're really proud of the fact that we've managed to stay in business for that whole length of time. Obviously, they've moved around, they've changed, we've learned a lot, but I think we've kind of got to a position where we would have hoped to have got to, because of being in the game for so long. Your objective always is to get to the top and be the best, and that's what drives us. That's what gives us the energy. That's where the hunger comes from. Being able to bring things to Newcastle that we're proud of and the city's proud of, and I think we've achieved that, and that's kind of probably the thing that makes us very, very proud, because we love the city. It's, for us, Newcastle, take London out of the equation because it's one of the best cities in the world. For us, we've always said that after London, we think that Newcastle is the best city in the whole of the country. And to be able to make our mark in the city that we love, it's something that we're very proud of. Amazing.
And what got you into food? What got you excited about food?
I think it wasn't what got me in. I think it was just a natural course of tagging along with my dad into his businesses from a very, very young age, and it was just probably it was just written for that to happen. So that's where it all started. But I think a poignant moment was, I guess, when I was at university, and I used to come back doing the breaks, come home and work in, whether it be dad's restaurants or his partners or friends. I just felt that I had a lot more than how they were operating their businesses as I got into it, and I felt that I can do a lot better. Right. So I left uni, and I felt that, doing marketing and management, I felt that I had a lot to offer the industry and make my mark on it myself.
Mm.
So that's, I guess that's what drove me, and I always felt that I had something beyond what the industry was offering all those years ago.
Amazing. And what got you sort of interested in innovating? Because you do a lot of innovation, right?
Yeah, I think it, again, maybe we always have to evolve. If you don't evolve, then you are stood still and someone else is going to take over. I think maybe it could be the insecurity of others becoming better than you, or not being a leader. So there's many factors, but ultimately I think we need to, as human beings, I think we should learn and grow every single day. I think there are some individuals, we've had these discussions amongst the team. If you think that you are somebody and you feel that, yes, I'm at the top, and you see, if you look at that in an arrogant way, it means that you're never going to get better. If you get to the top and you think, oh gosh, this is amazing, but I feel that we need to continue and we need to keep on getting better and keep on working harder, because next year is going to be even more difficult. I think that's the kind of mentality that we have, and we try to instill within the team, that yes, we're good, but we can be better. So we need to constantly drive towards improving and getting better. And I think if you have that humility and if you have that mindset and that character, I think you'll always automatically just think of how you can improve and be better every day.
So continuous improvement. You're right. Those organizations, and it doesn't matter whether you're involved in hospitality or anything, you need to continuously evolve and improve. Your customers change, people change. It's interesting, one of the books that I read yesterday talked about sort of a Big Bang theory of evolution. And one of the examples was, and they were talking about evolution of technologies, right? And in particular, they used the example. Jeff, can you remember you used to have maps? Can you remember maps?
Oh yeah, that A to Z.
Yeah,
of course. Everyone used to have one in the car, right?
Yeah, so it's like you had to pull it out to have a look.
Of course.
And then, it was amazing. And actually, it was I used to love looking at A to Zs, and I even remember doing some orienteering, sort of activities and things like that, where you used a compass and a map and
it was just
all of that, things like that. I think you needed to learn these things, the grid references and everything else, that of them they are still relevant now because they're the backbone of technology now, but people don't need to understand it, right? But anyway, so initially there was the maps, and then Garmin created sat navs, didn't they?
Yeah.
So Garmin, and they sold lots of them. So then the decline of the maps happened. So the point around your evolution side of things is, the A to Z companies, I bet you they never thought about getting out, did they? What they done was, well, people are always going to be used to maps. People want to use maps, and actually there is an element of that. But then Garmin came along, and Garmin was selling thousands of products, and then Google happened, and then Google created Google Maps.
Yeah.
And Garmin became defunct.
Yeah.
But Garmin didn't get out. They fundamentally lost £300 million because they bought all of these additional units on the proviso that people were going to. So people's sort of behaviors change, and there's a big bang type of approach to technologies and such like. I mean, look at the phones, right? It's mad that the advent of smartphones has brought about such transformative change. People aren't buying cameras as much, are they? There's all of these challenges. But anyway, you're right, and it's wonderful to see that. So coming on to your goals, Jeff, what are your goals for 2023?
Look, my goals are genuinely, we need to continue with our businesses the way that we're doing. I think try and develop them, improve them, make them better. But I'm very worried in terms of the state of the economy, the inflation, the tax rates, and many of those things. And ultimately, I feel that we need to all look at an income stream from other countries, in other countries, because I don't know what the future holds in the UK, but I'm nervous about it. So I think I do have my eye on doing things abroad, because I think the tax rates and opportunities, I want to be kind of bold because of the fear of what I think the UK holds in the next few years. And I think looking at opportunities abroad, whether it be Saudi or whether it be somewhere in the Middle East, and I think that's where I feel there's going to be a transfer of not power, but in terms of there's going to be a lot of action in the Middle East with what's happening in Saudi, and Dubai is booming, and what's happened with the World Cup in Qatar. It's something that I would really like to begin to understand and learn a lot more, and focus on a little bit more.
Wonderful. And have you contextualized those goals? Well, I don't expect you to share them, but are they clear? Are they smart? Are they like specific, measurable?
I think Ammar, the fact is that I'm beginning to think about it is a big deal in many ways, because when you begin to focus on something, obviously that focus just doesn't come out of thin air. It comes out of your business over months and months and months, as it just kind of, for me, the gut's moving towards that, and I think it's moving because of a number of calculations over a number of months. So I think for me to get to that position is kind of quite interesting, and I think now it's a matter of focusing, because we know we have some great concepts and products that can work equally in other countries, because the profile of the people, it's kind of same with globalization. You have the same profile of people that we may come to us. You'll be able to find that same segment in other countries. But I would carefully look at the tax laws and all of those things before I make any investments, because if you can save, £1 million a year on taxes by being in another country, I mean, why not look at that in a bit more depth?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to earn that amount to be able to save that. But anyway, you're absolutely right. Yeah, as opportunities go, the key thing. So probably reflects on everything we've talked about. So having goals, looking at internationalization, our adventure builder recognizes the need for innovation, but also the necessity to look at other marketplaces when your existing or local marketplaces are impacted to such a degree. So, that's absolutely critical. And then making sure that they're smart and you're using the must-do priorities. So rather than the could or the should, you're concentrating on the must-do. So no, great. Thanks for joining us this morning, Jeff, for the In Conversation with. That's great. So coming up to the last few minutes of the show, and we always seem to only have, so we start late because the ads go on for quite a significant amount of time, and the time zone in the Spice FM studio is different as well, isn't it? Is it because it always chops us off in the middle of a conversation?
Always 1 or 2 minutes before, so I guess we can get ourselves ready. And our listeners have been warned that we could we may have to shoot off spontaneously.
Yeah, very abruptly is the thing.
Yeah.
So coming on to Newcastle, what's going on, Jeff? We haven't
Amazing.
The last 2 matches.
I know. I think Arsenal was fair enough in 0-0, but Leeds game, it's not one of those. When we lost against Crystal Palace, I think we were denied by poor refereeing decision. This one hadn't do anything to do with that. We just couldn't finish them off.
It's a shame.
Yeah, and we should have done, but we couldn't. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to accept a nil-niller. But we just hope that we've got Sheffield Wednesday in the FA Cup tomorrow. We've got Leicester in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals on Tuesday. We have Fulham at home back into the Premier League the following Sunday. So we've got some really important games. The only other issue is, Ammar, if we beat Sheffield Wednesday and we beat Leicester, it means that our schedule in terms of games becomes a lot more. And I just think that we've been very fortunate because we haven't had any injuries. We have had Isak, we've lost Isak, but the rest of the teams are quite intact. I mean, but then saying that, we have lost Matt Targett and John Joe Shelby. So there are 3 big players that we've lost. Now, my point I'm trying to make is we need to sign a few more players.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, our squad's going to be really thin, and that might be the difference whether we get into the Champions League slots or not. I'm sure the owners are aware of it, and we're very, very relaxed with the owners because they've made some fantastic decisions when it comes to the transfer window. So we trust them and we're patient, but on the